Okay, so I watched Nosferatu on the plane and I didn't like it. I didn't like it. It never drew me in. I was never invested. I think the movie, in some places, in some ways, tried too hard. I feel like there was a lot of overacting happening. The only character that felt real and felt grounded in the context of what was happening was Aaron Taylor Johnson's character Friedrich Harding. He played the skeptic, which was a little bit ridiculous at a certain point, but he was the skeptic, and he wasn't grounded because of the skepticism. It's just Aaron Aaron's performance was just better than everyone else's. Everyone else, I feel like, was doing way too much. Willem Dafoe, I feel that they hired him specifically so that he could overact. But let's go back to the beginning. This movie is set in 1838 Germany. It's billed as an American Gothic horror. In it, Nosferatu, aka Count Orlok, is obsessed with a woman named Ellen because she is, if they're not maiden, because she's married, but he's obsessed with her because she's special. And she is special, but the movie doesn't give a damn about how special she is. And therein lies some of my problems with the movie. Count Orlok is not interesting, and neither is Ellen. One of the things I wrote in my notes was I think they think Ellen's passive position doesn't hurt the movie because Ellen is a very passive character. I wrote that. And then something told me to go look for an interview with the director, Robert Eggers, just to see. Because my stance is he didn't do what he thinks he did, especially with Ellen. And so I don't usually look up directors' interviews about their movies and what they meant to do. Maybe I should. Maybe that would make me a better movie reviewer. But looking this up honestly reaffirmed me and validated me. I've got good instincts. Honestly, I have not just good instincts, but I don't know. I think I will say, tooting my own horn, I have a good eye and just sense based on knowing tropes and knowing people's biases, typically, for what screenwriters and directors are trying to portray in their movies and whether it's they're succeeding or not. And this is something I said to someone who had an opinion about Sinners that was 100% wrong. It was about Grace, and they said, Grace betrayed. Their feeling is that she betrayed the group because, all she cared about was the money, being there for the money, and she was selfish, blah, blah. And I said, that's not what Ryan Coogler, that's not what he wrote. That's not what he meant to write. What he said, it's all love. I said, I think I linked it, or I said, he said it's all love between Grace and the characters and vice versa. And I said, and the person's response was, yeah, but there's more than one way to, there's the artist's intent, but there can be multiple explanations. And I said, no, once you know the artist's intent, your job as the audience is to decide, did they succeed in communicating their intent or did they fail? Did Ryan Coogler succeed in showing that it's all love and that Grace wasn't selfish? And did he succeed in showing that she didn't do it for selfish reasons? Yes, he did. Breaking in here to say specifically the selfish thing, I think calling a parent, and right, movie wise, writing wise, a parent who's making literally the ultimate sacrifice because she sacrificed her life, making the ultimate sacrifice for their kid, calling them selfish, I feel like it's just a contradiction. Yes, there are selfish parents. It's not usually shown like that. But specifically on the charge that people have laid at Grace about she was only there for the money. She never cared about them. She did it because the Asian community always looks after their own first. People have said that. Always looks after their own first. That. Ryan said that it wasn't that. She loved them and she did what she did to protect her kid. Did he do a good job of showing that she did what she did to protect her kid, or did he do a bad job at it? You can't say, yeah, he said that, but it's also that she was only there for the money and she didn't care about her kid, and that's why she said, come on in. So this is where I'm coming from with this review. I'm going to read a quote from Robert Eggers about what he believes he did with Ellen, and I'm going to use that as a jumping off point for my review and for what I think. Okay, so the article is in the New York Times. It's written by Alyssa Wilkinson. The article is titled "With Nosferatu, Robert Eggers raises the stakes." And in the interview, Alyssa says all of your films are about female desire upending the world. The usual modern spin on any movie that's about women and desire is rah feminism, burn the patriarchy down, but you come at it differently. There's some try-heartedness in this interview. Robert says Ellen doesn't put on her husband's trousers and jump on the horse and kill the vampire with the stake. Yet to say that she's a female character with a ton of agency is a fact. No, it's not. To say that she's a victim is also a fact, but she's as much a victim of 19th century society as she is a victim of the vampire. And my response, my critique of the movie is that Ellen is a victim of Robert. Ellen is the victim of the director / writer of the movie. Let's get into it. I've said this in another review, or maybe multiple reviews. You can write anything, basically, as long as like you do it well. Like you can Ellen, okay, let me not get ahead of myself. I didn't need, what I'm trying to say is that no, I did not need Ellen to put on her husband's trousers and go stake the vampire like the first Slayer. I didn't need that. Just because she's a female character, I didn't need. But I wanted her to be interesting. I wanted her to be interesting, and I wanted her to not be a tropey character. But she was. Ellen is an object. Ellen, in the movie, is a seer. That's how she's able to connect with Nosferatu. She is a seer. She was rejected for it by her father. She tells us herself that she sought tenderness and that she called out to anyone. Okay, great. Nosferatu answered. And Ellen tells us it was sweet at first. How? First question. If Ellen is more than an object, how was it sweet at first? What did she see in Nosferatu? How did she get past the way that he looks? What did she get out of this? How were their encounters pleasurable for her? Because we do see them consummate on screen, and it's very male-centered. He bites her. Penetration. He bites her, and she's gasping and shit, but we know that's not the pinnacle of female pleasure, but it is a bias, and it is a trope that is the pinnacle of female pleasure, is showing penetration and being done with it. What we get of Ellen is what Nosferatu sees. She's an object of his desire. She's an object for the doctor, played by Willem Dafoe, to show off how much he knows. He tells her she is of the supernatural world, but she's not leading in it. And the point isn't for her to learn all about it and gain her power. She doesn't teach anyone anything about this world. Yes, she talks about it, but she's not taken seriously by anyone at any point. Actually, despite watching Ellen bend in half and speak like a demon, Friedrich, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, doesn't believe anything that's going on until her husband comes back, shows him his chest with the bite marks, and that's when he finally believes what's going on. So Robert is disempowering the heroine that he thinks has agency. Nosferatu says that he wants Ellen to come willingly to him, but it's coercion. She does go to him, and it's framed as, aka told to us as, like, she must do this in order to save the town. But it's coercion. She has no choice. And then the way to defeat the vampire is for her to sleep with him. Sleeping with her, fucking her, to be completely blunt, is his undoing. In addition to like the first layer or whatever, and maybe something about her blood, maybe. She's the key. Literally an object. And by the way, Buffy and Angel did it better. The whole sleeping with her destroys him. Yeah, Buffy did it better. I did like one thing, which is how Nosferatu spread through the town like the plague, essentially. But that's about it. I give the movie 2.5 stars out of 5. It was boring, and it did way too much, too little consequence. I went to go see Ballerina. That was a much better movie, and I will review it next.